I'm going to try to show you a pretty cool use of Trello before my wife comes out and interrupts the video and ruins it. So if you create a few lists in Trello, such as to pack and already packed, then all you need to do is just create your list of items. So as you think of them, add a card, add a name to the item, such as, dog, leash. And then if you know it's going to be part of like a special type of trip that you don't always go on, maybe give it a name. So trip with dog. You would go here and type in trip with dog and make it a contrasting color. So let's just do pink. All right, so the point is you have an item for each, a card for each. And then as you bring all the items out, I recommend you bring them out into a central location like your living room or even outside, so you aren't tempted to cheat and say, oh yeah, I packed that, knowing that it's still in the cabinet, that you're going to pack it later and then realize that you forgot it. So all you do after you have everything written out, and don't worry, this is why it's worth taking the time to do it now, because you're going to use this list for years every time you travel. So you'll see here that I have bike helmet, which is for the bike trips and races. So if I'm going on a bike trip or race, then I know I need to have everything in blue, as well as always everything in yellow. These things, they always come with me, right? So it doesn't matter what order you go in. The point is you want to lay everything out, again, either outside on a blanket or in your living room, so you can get an overall view of everything that you've laid out. And only then, once you put it into your suitcase or pack it in some way, then you move it into already packed. And you'll see gradually that this list of 2-pack gets smaller. Next, you can add checklists. So my favorite thing to do for example, the business trips is garment bag with suit. So I'd click over here, and then under the checklist, I have all the individual items that I need for my business suit. Don't just say business suit, because then you'll probably forget your belt. You'll probably forget a shirt. And I once had a shirt that required cufflinks. I had the shirt, I had no cufflinks. Also didn't have buttons in the front. It was a mess. So now I break it in a granular level. And as I pack everything in the garment bag, I check them off. And then when I move the garment bag into the suitcase, or however I'm going to carry it into the car, then I move it to already packed. All right, so it's not unnecessary work. What trips up people a lot of times is they think, oh, I'm not going to spend the time to do that. That takes up too much time. And they end up wasting 10 times the amount of time, honestly, like hours of time looking for something, or going out and having to find it in town when they're in a foreign location, because they didn't just take a few minutes to organize their life before they traveled. All right, so next, once you're packed, once it's time to leave and return home, then you would just move everything from already packed to pack. You're undoing everything.
Two-pack.
And then, and if you want to do a shortcut, you can just click over here. You can move all cards in this list to from already packed to 2-pack, and then hit move, and you'll see that everything goes back into the 2-pack list. My wife is mocking me. So this is a really good use of the Trello system. And if you realize that you don't need, whether it's before you've left or once you're there, because this is always a good thing to do, is reduce the number of items in the list, so you know for next time you won't need it. Start adding those things to the don't need, and then once you use this list again, you can realize that, hey, these are things that I didn't need. I don't need them again, especially for these types of trips, default or bike trips. But the point is, you are using this list and bringing it with you, and then next time you travel, you already have the list ready. You can reset it, reuse it. And better yet, you can have a suitcase that's already packed with most of the default for all trips, so you can just leave that into the already packed. if you travel a lot and you know you frequently use these same items, just keep them in a suitcase already ready to go. So that's the second to the last point. Last point is when you have running shoes that you've started to wear out, but they're still otherwise totally fine. Same with, clothes that might be like 1 season out of season. They still work. Maybe there's a little bit of stain on it, but they're still otherwise totally fine. Keep those in your suitcase. Not only will that make it easier to travel and fewer things to pack next time you want to go somewhere, it's also great in case of an emergency. You already have your suitcase ready to go. So you don't have to waste time looking for these items that you put away that you know you're going to need. They're ready to go in your suitcase, and you can grab them and go. So that's how I use Trello for my packing list.